There's something interesting about Rockstar games that people don't always realize right away, and it's something you usually only notice after you've played a few of them over the years. The opening moments of their games aren't just introductions or tutorials. They're almost like a thesis statement for the entire experience you're about to have. Rockstar tends to use the first 10 minutes of a game to quietly tell you what kind of world you've just stepped into, what kind of story you're about to live through, and what kind of pace the entire adventure is going to move at. And that's exactly why the first 10 minutes of Grand Theft Auto 6 might actually be the most important opening Rockstar has ever created. Think about the position Rockstar is in right now. The last mainline GTA game came out more than a decade ago. That game, of course, was Grand Theft Auto 5, which went on to become one of the most successful video games ever made. It didn't just sell a lot of copies. It became this cultural phenomenon that stuck around for years thanks to Grand Theft Auto Online, where millions of players kept returning to Los Santos long after the single-player story had ended. So now Rockstar is trying to follow that up with GTA 6, and the expectations surrounding this game are honestly kind of insane. People aren't just expecting another good open-world game. They're expecting something that feels like the next step for the entire genre. They're expecting a bigger world, smarter NPCs, deeper systems, more immersion, more realism, and somehow all of that at the same time. When you combine that kind of pressure with the fact that the world has been waiting over 10 years for a new GTA, you start to understand why the opening moments of this game matter so much. Because the first 10 minutes are where Rockstar has to quietly convince players that the wait was worth it. If you look back at Rockstar's history, you start to notice that their openings are never random. They're carefully constructed moments that establish the tone and the direction of the entire experience. For example, when Grand Theft Auto 4 begins, the game doesn't immediately throw you into chaos or explosions. Instead, it starts with something much more subtle. You arrive in Liberty City by boat alongside Nico Bellic, looking out at a place that feels unfamiliar and a little bit cold. The city doesn't feel glamorous. It feels gritty and realistic, and right away you get the sense that this is going to be a story about survival and ambition, rather than pure over-the-top chaos. That opening quietly told you what GTA 4 was going to be about, long before the story revealed anything. Then a few years later, Rockstar releases GTA 5, and they do almost the exact opposite. Instead of starting slow, the game immediately throws you into a tense bank robbery in the snowy town of North Yankton. You're wearing masks, the police are closing in, and the entire sequence feels like the opening of a crime movie. Before you've even had the time to process what's happening, you're already involved in a dramatic shootout and getaway attempt. It's fast, cinematic, and chaotic, and in a strange way, it perfectly captures the tone of the entire game. GTA 5 is a story about criminals living big and reckless lives in a flashy modern city, and that first sequence communicates that idea instantly. Rockstar did something similar again with Red Dead Redemption 2, but this time they slowed everything down dramatically. The game opens in a brutal snowstorm with the Van der Linde gang struggling to survive after a failed robbery. Visibility is low, supplies are limited, and the mood is desperate. It's a slow and heavy beginning, but it works because it introduces the world in a way that emphasizes realism and immersion. You quickly realize that Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't going to rush you through its world. It's going to let you live inside of it. When you start to look at Rockstar's games this way, you realize that those opening minutes are always doing something important. They're setting the rhythm. They're telling you whether the world you're about to explore is going to feel chaotic, grounded, cinematic, or immersive. They're essentially teaching you how to experience the game before you've even had time to think about it. And that's where GTA 6 becomes really interesting, because Rockstar now has to decide what kind of opening best represents the next era of GTA. Do they start the game with something explosive and cinematic like GTA 5? Or do they slow things down and let players soak in the world the way they did with Red Redemption 2? Both options are possible, and each one would send a very different message about the direction Rockstar wants to take. If GTA 6 begins with a huge action sequence, maybe something like a robbery or a police chase through the streets of Vice City, then Rockstar is essentially telling players that this game is about spectacle. It's about the thrill of crime and the chaos that follows. That kind of opening would instantly hook players and probably make for some incredibly memorable moments, especially considering how powerful modern hardware is compared to what existed when GTA 5 was launched. But there's another possibility that might be even more interesting. Rockstar could start the game very quietly. Imagine loading into the world of GTA 6 and instead of explosions or shootouts, The game begins with something simple. Maybe the main character wakes up in a small apartment as the sun rises over Vice City. You hear traffic in the distance, maybe music playing somewhere down the street, and when you step outside for the first time, the city just feels alive. Cars move naturally through intersections, people walk along the sidewalks having conversations. The ocean reflects the early morning light. Nothing dramatic is happening, but the world itself feels convincing in a way that immediately grabs your attention. That kind of opening would send a very clear message. It would say that GTA 6 isn't just trying to be bigger than previous games. It's trying to feel more real. And honestly, that direction would make a lot of sense when you look at Rockstar's recent design philosophy. Over the last few years, they've clearly become more interested in building immersive worlds that behave like real places. Red Dead Redemption 2 was filled with systems that made its environment feel believable, from wildlife behavior to NPC routines to the way that towns reacted to your presence. If Rockstar brings that same level of detail to GTA 6, we could end up with a city that feels more alive than anything we've seen in an open world game before. That's why the first 10 minutes of GTA 6 are going to be so fascinating to watch. Those moments will reveal whether Rockstar is doubling down on cinematic action or pushing further into immersion and realism. And in today's gaming landscape, first impressions matter more than ever. The moment GTA 6 launches, millions of players are going to start sharing clips online. Streams will pop up everywhere. Reaction videos will flood YouTube. And within hours, people who haven't even played the game yet will already have opinions about it based on what they've seen. If the opening of GTA 6 is incredible, that momentum will spread across the internet almost instantly. People will talk about it the same way they talked about the bank robbery in GTA 5 or the snowstorm in Red Dead Redemption 2. Those moments become iconic because they're the first thing players remember about the experience. But if the opening feels underwhelming, that will spread just as quickly. That's why Rockstar has always treated those early moments so carefully. They understand that the beginning of a game isn't just the start of the story. It's the moment when players decide whether they're about to experience something truly special. And with GTA 6, the stakes are higher than they've ever been. Because this isn't just another sequel. It's the return of one of the biggest gaming franchises in the world after more than a decade of anticipation. When players finally press start and step into Vice City for the first time, those opening minutes are going to shape how people talk about the game for years. If Rockstar gets it right, the beginning of GTA 6 could become one of the most memorable openings in gaming history. And if their past games are anything to go by, there's a very good chance they already know exactly how they're going to pull that off. For all of you who stayed until the end, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'll catch you in the next one.